Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your boy Dimitri from 307 International, back on my own for another episode of Full Court Thrilos. Yes, I'm back from Kazakhstan, alive and well. No frostbite, no flu, no nothing. Thankfully, I'm fully healthy despite the minus 28 degrees. Landed this morning, and yeah, back to it straight away with basketball today. Full Court Thrilos episode. Haven't done one in a long time. Thought we'd have a catch up based on tonight's game against Barcelona in the EuroLeague, but also Monte Morris's signing. We finally have the guard that everyone's been screaming for. But before I sort of get into an analysis of tonight's game and the defeat at the Palau Blaugrana Stadium, just a shout out to remind you all to please like and subscribe, comment, follow us on social media, interact in any way that you can. All your interactions help us in our goal to promote Olympiacos further and spread the word of Olympiacos throughout the world. And any support is appreciated, especially if it's on Patreon. We have many different tiers from as little as $1 that you can join, and your support and your financial contribution goes straight back into all the stuff that we do here for 307 International, including our Sunday shows, including our Wednesday Greek shows, including Full Court Thrilos, which is basketball, including everything. So, with that in mind and with that out of the way, let's talk about today's performance. Heavy defeat in the EuroLeague, one of our worst defeats of the season so far, in my opinion. There's a lot to sort of point the finger at from today's game. The main thing I really wanted to touch upon was our softness and our defense, because going into today's game, we were the second best defense in the EuroLeague, conceding an average of 81 points per game. And today we conceded 98, of which 30 of it was in the third quarter. And that's just inexcusable, unacceptable for a team that's aiming to win the EuroLeague, for a team that prides itself on its defense, for a Barzokas team. To concede 98 points is frankly disgusting. Not the way that Olympiacos is used to sort of performing in the EuroLeague or in basketball in general. There's a lot behind this issue with today's defense and today's amount of points that we conceded. First and foremost, for me, was how soft we were. I felt like we were unbelievably soft. So the first half we were actually quite right. We went behind at the half by 3 points. It was 42-39, and we managed to concede 56 points in the second half. 56. Usually in the second half, at least in European basketball, defenses tend to sort of get a little bit tighter. Shots don't really drop as much. Gets a little bit nervier. So the amount of points that you have in the second half tend to be less than the amount of points that you score in the first half. Now, for Barcelona to score 14 more points in the second half, it's not just them offensively being really, really good, but it's also us just being unbelievably soft and just silly is the word I'd describe. What I mean by soft is, you see at the start of the third quarter, the way Barcelona came out, the way they were pressuring the ball, the way they were forcing us into tough shots. At some point, they even forced Milutinov to take a three, which he airballed. It just seemed like we didn't have a chance to breathe, and none of our scorers really had more than a split second to make a decision. Dorsey, Vezenkov, Fournier, they were all severely under pressure. Whereas when we were on defense, we didn't really play like that. We gave them a lot of space. We gave them far too many open 3-point shots. There was one where Clyburn just who shot, I think, 7 from 10 from 3, shot 70%, scored 31 points. He I think Walkup went for the steal at the halfway line and left Clyburn completely free on his own, which is just absolutely insane. Like how are you doing something like that on a player who's shooting just lights out? Wait, where was it? Yes, 7 from 10, just insane percentages, absolutely insane. How are you thinking at that moment in time? Yeah, I'm going to leave my man who's just insanely hot tonight to go play a double team on the half court. Stuff like that. Like the other issue was that they just the offensive rebounds that Barcelona got. They got 19 offensive rebounds. Right. I'm going to repeat that. They got 19 offensive rebounds. Their total amount of rebounds in the whole game was 38. So half of their rebounds were offensive. Now, to those of you that aren't huge basketball fans, that is insane. That is unheard of. I'm going to make this even worse for us now. They had 19 offensive rebounds. We had 19 defensive rebounds. They had, this stat is absolutely bonkers. They had the same amount of offensive rebounds as we had defensive rebounds, right? Their offensive rebounds and the amount of second chance points, particularly in the third quarter, was just madness. We just could not grab a ball. They were missing their shots and they were just out hustling us, outplaying us, like caring more to grab the rebound than we were. They were jumping for every single ball and we just weren't competing for those balls. We weren't boxing out correctly. We weren't running after the ball. We were lazy. We were lackadaisical. It was insane how honestly, the description that I would give it is a men against boys. You cannot allow, as a professional basketball team, your opponents to get 19 offensive rebounds in European basketball. It's inexcusable. Absolutely insane. And you can't even say that our big men weren't playing because our big men weren't injured. Now, the big issue, the big miss defensively and offensively and everything, in my opinion, was Tyson Ward. I've said some pretty huge takes on other episodes of Full Court 3 Loss so far this season. I might have called Tyson Ward the second coming of Giannis Antetokounmpo after one of the games. I might have got ridiculed for it. Obviously, I am exaggerating when I say that, but the energy that this guy brings is unmatched. I think at this moment in time and the way that our team performs, Tyson Ward is the most irreplaceable player on our squad. Now, I'm not saying he's the best player on our team. I'm not saying he's the MVP. What I'm saying is that he's irreplaceable. And what he does, no one else can do on the squad. And we saw that perfectly today. Bartzokas won with the starting five of Walkup, Dorsey, and Fournier at the guard position. He played with three smaller guys, whereas usually Ward plays the three. Even if he doesn't start, he gets a lot of minutes at the three. And Ward brings that X factor. He brings that energy. He brings that thing that McKissick and Papanikolaou used to bring in previous seasons. Both of them, Papanikolaou is older. McKissick is injured at the moment, but he's older as well. Both of them getting reduced minutes this year. Both of them probably in their final seasons with Olympiacos. Both of them probably might be retiring next season. And Ward is that guy that brings that energy and that passion and that hustle that you had from guys like K-Pop and Shaq. And with him out, and he's going to be out now for the next 4 weeks to a month, it's worrying because where does that come from? We had absolutely no hustle, absolutely no desire. as evident from the explanation with the rebounds, but also you saw it with the way we were playing defense and the way that they were playing defense. Barcelona, they had active hands. They had active hands in the lane. They had an insane amount of steals, and we had an insane amount of turnovers. They had, I will tell you now, they had a total of 9 steals, right? To 9 turnovers. Their steal to turnover ratio was 1-1. We, on the other hand, had 3 steals and 12 turnovers. So our ratio was 1-4. Theirs was 1-1. Ours was 1-4. I mean, if you need to know what happened in the game today, if you didn't watch the game, these stats tell the whole picture. Rebounds, steals, and turnovers. I've never seen a game that you could literally look at the box score. You could literally look at the stats and just go, yep, there you go. Done. Sorted. Don't even need to look at the percentage shots. Don't even need to know that Will Clyburn shot 7 from 10 from 3. We still would have lost that game, even if he hadn't shot 70%. Even if Kevin Potter hadn't dropped 24 points, I believe he dropped. How many points did he get? 24 points in 24 minutes. Even if Kevin Potter hadn't dropped 24 points, even if Will Clyburn hadn't got 70% from 3, we would have lost that game. Now, we wouldn't have lost it by 13 points, or at one point looked like could have been 20 plus, but we would have lost that game. Because getting out rebound that badly and then having your steal to turnover ratio that different to your opponents is just goes to show the gulf in hustle, desire, and energy. As I said, Barcelona had active hands on pretty much every single possession. Every time we're swinging the ball around the perimeter, boom, steal, bam. They had, in the third quarter, I think they had about 3 or 4 possessions where they stole it, bam, 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 just back to back. They just stole the ball. It was a swing, steal, swing, steal, swing, steal, and every time fast break, layup or dunk, fast break, layup or dunk. I think they stole it from, I think like Dorsey, like 3 times in the space of 3 minutes at least. Yeah, Dorsey had 4 turnovers. Fournier had 2 turnovers. Papa Nicolau had 2 turnovers. Like, just an insane amount of turnovers. That just, you cannot be a team competing for the EuroLeague title and be that turnover heavy, lack of rebounds, and lack of steals. Like, it's just, everything was the complete opposite of what Barcelona did. They out-hustled us, outplayed us, out-energized us. Now, and the lack of Tyson Ward, I think, was a crucial factor to that. Do I think him on his own would have turned the game around on those stats? Probably not. Would he have helped? Would he have then lifted everyone else to play with more energy? 100%. 100%. Having someone like that on your team is contagious. Seeing players like Kevin Punter, right, who is one of the best guards in the EuroLeague, scoring-wise, and is one of Barcelona's leaders alongside Shengelia and who else would you say? Satoransky, Vesely, you know, the famous players that have been there for a long time. He was everywhere. And that is then contagious to the rest of the team. And if we had someone like Ward, the rest of the team would have stepped up, in my opinion. So it was just a combination of errors and lack of physicality and lack of energy and lack of hustle, and just poor defense that just created a very unlike Olympiacos performance. It's not the sort of performance you expect from Olympiacos and a Barzokas team, which is what was really, really disappointing. Just no fight. Now, outside of the game, I mean, the problem, actually, before I move on about the signing of Monte Morris, the problem with this game is, and also with the Fenerbahce game from last week that got postponed, is now we've dropped to 10th, a record of 8-6. At some point we were second. Now, obviously no cause for concern. I do still think we're going to get to the final four. I do think we're going to finish in the top four to have home court advantage for the playoffs. I do think all of that. I'm not trying to exaggerate any situation here. But a defeat like that, so sort of without any fight, I think harms a team's self-esteem and their pride. So I really hope that coach can sort of find a way to sort of get that fire back into them, because that was really, really disappointing. Moving away from that though, we finally signed a point guard that everyone's been calling out for, Monte Morris, former NBA player Monte Morris, who's NBA champion with the Denver Nuggets, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I think he was with the Nuggets during the season that they won the championship. I mean, he had his best years with the Nuggets. Well, I'm just looking at, between 17 and 22, he was with the Nuggets. That's who he got drafted with. Yeah. So he won the championship with the Nuggets. He was quite crucial in that championship season. I mean, he had 3 or 4 seasons where he was averaging both with the Nuggets, and then after that, where did he go after that? With the Wizards, where he was getting quite a lot of minutes. He was getting over 20 minutes a game, scoring over 10 points a game. It sort of dropped the last couple of seasons when he got traded to Detroit, then went to Minnesota, Phoenix, and Indiana. But definitely the sort of player that is going to do bits in the EuroLeague. He's going to be crucial to what we need in sort of the guard position. Oh no, he didn't win. He didn't win the championship with the Nuggets. They won in 2023, so he left. But I do remember he got valuable minutes for them. But yeah, so I think he is going to be important. Although the last couple of seasons he has been performing at that level at the NBA, he's one of those players that I think is going to come to Europe and he is going to perform. He is going to be like Kendrick. Oh God, I'm going to live to regret this, but I hope he's going to be like Kendrick Nunn, who had a couple of good seasons in the NBA with the Miami Heat and then sort of dropped off, got traded, didn't get as many minutes, wasn't getting as many points, and then came to the EuroLeague and performed really well. So I think the same's going to be the same's going to happen with Monte Morris. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of schemes Barzokas is going to come up with, how he's going to play him alongside the other guards, how he's going to try and accommodate him alongside Dorsey, alongside Fournier, where he's going to get his shots from, whose minutes he's going to take. Obviously, he's going to be sharing the position with Walkup, but what Walkup brings to this team, no one else can bring. Just like Ward, Walkup is irreplaceable. So I'm interested to see what sort of jigsaw puzzles Barzokas is going to do. But it's a good headache to have. It's great to have a player like him. I'm excited that we have a player of his caliber come and finally fill that guard position. I mean, we all know what happened with Keenan Evans last month with his injury. That's now going to keep him out for the rest of the season again. So it was crucial that we got someone who can score from the one position, and we have that with Monte Morris. So hopefully he hits the ground running and he comes straight in and just produces. Because we need that. We need something different from that position. You saw that with Kevin Punter today, man. 24 points in 24 minutes from your point guard. Like, Walkup is fantastic for what he does. We don't have a scoring point guard. We don't have someone who can score that much. Our scoring comes from Dorsey and Vezenkov. Fournier hasn't been scoring that much this season. He's been poor compared to last season. But we just don't have that threat from that position. Someone who can create his own shot and sort of attack the basket in that way. So it's great to get someone like him in, and hopefully it sort of smooths things out a lot. And also hopefully means that the fans chill a bit, because we have very, very, very demanding fans who constantly complain. We all complain about lack of signings, about this, that. And I think it's in our DNA to complain. We're never happy, because I'm reading comments like, oh, great. Now let's get another big to be a backup for Milutinov, because people are complaining that Dante Hall isn't good enough, or Kostas Antetokounmpo isn't good enough to be a third center. Yeah, Kostas didn't get any minutes today, but Dante Hall I thought was pretty decent. I mean, he had 11 points, PIR of 19, if I'm not mistaken. I think, yeah. Wait, I'm actually going to see this now. I'm fairly certain he had the stats I just said. He had, 11 points in 21 minutes. He had 8 rebounds, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 turnover, PIR of 19. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good game for Dante Hill from your backup center. He got more minutes than Milutinov today. So I don't understand why people want another big and to complain, but that's just us as fans, fortunately. But hopefully this Monte Morris signing sort of relaxes people and makes them happy. But I think we need a big week next week. We've got a double game week. We've got a match on Tuesday and a match on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I think I need to check who they're with, but I think Villeurbanne is one of them, if I'm not mistaken. Valencia on Tuesday and Villeurbanne on Friday. Yeah, I was correct. Villeurbanne was one of them. So 2 must-win games, 2 games theoretically you're expecting to win, despite Valencia being quite surprisingly decent this year after coming up from not being in the EuroLeague last year. But yeah, next week we have to win both games, and hopefully that sort of calms the storm a tiny bit, even though it's not a huge storm. But yeah, today was just disappointing the way that the defeat came about. There just wasn't enough fight and hustle, and that really sort of upset me and deflated me. But yeah, hopefully with Monte Morris coming in and next week getting 2 wins out of 2, that sort of eases things. Let's see. But yeah, thanks for joining me. I've been by myself tonight. This is Dimitri. Hopefully next week we'll get a chance to do another one, and we'll have company from Ioanni and Costa and Labro maybe. I mean, and chat about next week's games, and hopefully if Monte Morris has played in the EuroLeague, we'll chat a bit about him and how we're seeing his first minutes. But yeah, thanks so much for joining. Please like, subscribe, comment, follow us on social media, join our Patreon. Your support is unbelievably appreciated, and we are so grateful for your love. So thank you very much, and I'll catch you next week on the next episode of Full Court Thrillos. Peace out.